PCA is back in camp, and he is ready to adjust and get better.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We are now the #1 sports podcast network. I'm Matt Cozy. I'm a lifelong fan, taking my passion into a discussion with you on all things Cubs. And with me today is Joey Glickman, one of our great everydayers of the program. Joey, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you guys so much for having me on. I'm very proud to be filling in Sam's shoes today. I'm super excited.
We got a packed show, a lot of updates from spring trading, including Tom Ricketts, the Cubs owner, speaking on Monday. And we start with Pete Crow-Armstrong, who for the first 4 months of last season was the best player in all of baseball. Listen to this 89-game stretch from April 13th through July 30th. PCA /287, 318, 616 with 27 homers, 26 doubles, and 23 steals, while also playing Gold Glove defense. And then in the final 2 months, he hit 188 with 4 homers. And if not for Gold Glove defense, I'm just going to say it, he likely wouldn't have played as much as he did. And the last few days, PCA has opened up on his 2025 season. He's revealed what went right, what went wrong. And so while this might not exactly be a player preview episode as much as it is about PCA's quest to find consistency and to continue to develop, get better, Joey, what do you remember about PCA's season last year? And he is such a brand and marketing machine too. What do you remember about his season, but also his impact, maybe even on your fandom of your favorite team?
Well, you said it. I mean, first half of the year, he was one of the best, if not the best player in baseball, outside of maybe Shohei. I mean, he was favored to win MVP.
Aaron Judge, probably.
Aaron Judge. He was favored to win MVP for, 30 days? And, it's tough. It's tough to remember that second half. He struggled mightily, obviously not defensively, but offensively, and he struggled in the postseason. That was, he got a big hit in Game 3, but other than that, he did pretty much nothing. The only thing I remember in the second half was probably that homer against the Angels, when Craig Counsell showed, his only ounce of emotion that he's ever shown in a Cubs uniform. But yeah, I think what he did in the first half, I think he can, translate to this year. I talked about this with one of my buddies today. He reminded me a lot of Javi back, 2019, 2020, where he started to struggle again. High whiff percentage, obviously struck out a lot. And I think he has that, obviously the low floor, but the high ceiling as well, as you saw in the first half.
Yeah, the Javi comparisons, I think, hit a lot of the time. I like those. It's when I was looking up that 89-game stretch earlier today, I was reminded of some of the great Cubs seasons of the past, and really this one, in terms of the stardom, was it the biggest one since the Javi 2018 season, and really Pete was up there with Judge, Ohtani, and Raleigh. It was those four for that long of a stretch, and it was interesting trying to unpack his comments from the weekend, because PCA told reporters that his setup in the batter's box was not the same each time he stepped into it over the final 2 months, and that setup snowballed negatively into his mechanics on swings. And so for him to be vulnerable with that, I think was good. And then number two, he said, the swings themselves need to be better. And I found this stat to be pretty eye-opening, Joey. His chase rate last year was the third highest in all of baseball, which isn't surprising. But the lowest chase rate months for him were the last 2 months in August and September when he was performing his worst. So it might not be chasing for him as much as it is doing damage on the pitches that he decides to swing at. And ultimately, like all hitters on the planet, doing damage on pitches in the zone.
Right. And obviously we saw it. He's capable of hitting 30 plus homers in a year. What was he at before the All-Star break? 25, 26?
Yeah, so entering August, he was at 27.
Yeah, and you know, he's capable again of doing that.
Yeah, for sure.
This year, and I think it starts in spring, and I think it starts in the World Baseball Classic. I know Sam said it, you know, last week that it's doesn't matter, spring doesn't matter, WBC doesn't matter. I personally think it does. I think it's key to see. Hopefully, he'll play now that Carroll's out. But I think it's a big moment in his career. I mean, if he has a big moment in the WBC, I think that could easily transfer over and give him confidence for early on in the season. But again, I think he needs to have a full 160 game season where he's consistent, and I think that's only going to raise the bar for this team. So,
well, it's weird to think that last year was his first full year because he debuted in 2023. I'm excited to watch him on the world stage in the WBC. I hope Mark DeRosa, the manager of Team USA, has a specific role for him. I mean, it should. You're right. It should go beyond that. Like, he should be starting. You know, if it's not out of the gate, then he should get a start or two. You know, that round robin style, and then, you know, we'll see what happens as they advance or likely advance. What would some of the things that you mentioned, confidence, what would be like one more thing that you would want to see, whether it's WBC or spring, where it's like, oh, that's a positive sign that he can repeat his first half last year?
More walks.
Yeah,
he's dangerous on the base.
That'd be a big story.
Yeah, I mean, if he's taking walks in spring, and obviously I'm not comparing him to Christopher Morel at all, but I think Boog every game, you know, what was it, 2023 before he got traded, he mentioned, you know, he's taking more walks. You know, that's a sign to improvement. I honestly, I think it's true. I think taking more walks is crucial because when he gets on first, it's practically a double. The way he runs, but obviously he's got to work on his base running. His base running was subpar to say the least last year, but I think I trust him in the steal in at least 40 bases this year. But yeah, I guess more walks would probably be my answer.
I think it's a great call. It's I love it. I think his problem with chasing is not balls in and balls out. It's above and below the zone. And so when he swings at that junk, it's not going to work out well. And so the Joe Madden line from the 2010s, like accepting walks, I think he's got to take a page out of Ian Happ's book there. And
right.
It was cool to see that Pete, you know, was talking to Bregman a lot already, and John Maley, the assistant hitting coach, had some good quotage from the weekend, and then of course Counsell. So we'll see how this progresses, Joey, and excited to have Pete on our team.
If you don't mind me asking a question,
yeah.
Do you think Counsell is hesitant to put Pete at leadoff just because of his walk rate being down?
For sure. For sure, especially with how good of run producers Bush and Seiya were last year.
Right. I don't know where he's going to hit in the order this year. I honestly,
right, because if Pete hit first and Bregman hit second, Bush would hit third, Seiya would hit fourth.
Exactly.
You know, do those guys get on enough for Bush and Seiya? That I think that would be the main question. That was a good question. I didn't mind that at all. I was a little skeptical at first with your lead in, but it was solid. So
All right.
you've passed your first test.
Fantastic.
Coming up next, the Cubs owner, Tom Ricketts, did speak on Monday, and we get to those quotes right after this. Today's episode is brought to you by TurboTax. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever just to hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax Full Service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or the guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with the local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms and work to get you every deduction. It's a huge time saver and gives real peace of mind knowing an expert is handling it. And for a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by the end of this month on by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. TurboTax.com/local to use TurboTax. Baseball back, and you could lock in by joining the Everydayer Club, which gets you ad-free episodes of Locked On Cubs. For the next week or so, you could use code SPRING for a free month. That's code SPRING. Go to lockedoncubs.supercast.com or tap the link in the episode description. Cubs owner Tom Ricketts spoke to the Cubs organization, including the team, on Monday at Sloan Park in Mesa, Arizona. And then he spoke to reporters afterwards. A few takeaways from that, or highlights, I should say. He expects everyone to have higher expectations this year. And really, it was this last quote that I will read verbatim. He said, I don't remember the exact question, but I'll read you the quote. Win more World Series. It's about winning. All this other stuff all leads to one thing, and that's winning. We have to put the kind of teams on the field that could be in the playoffs every year and be back on top, close quote. There's a few other notes we'll get to, Joey, but does Ricketts speaking do anything for you, or did you have anything that to pull out from his comments on Monday in Arizona?
It made my entire day. It made my entire day. It really, how his mood has changed from now until October, it seems like, is dramatic. I mean, we were talking about, or you guys were talking about it all offseason, how this team doesn't spend. They're on a budget. Well, now, they signed one of the best third basemen in baseball, trade for a very good starting pitcher. And his comments today were all win now mode. And we haven't heard that from Tom in a very long time. And really any owner in Chicago sports. But that's a separate
show. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was really cool to see that he said that we're in win now mode, because he hasn't said that in quite a long time, probably since 2016.
Yeah, it's so Ricketts himself, the owner of the team, and now multiple players. I don't think Council's gone as far as to do this in the first few media availabilities, but I know Horner did it today. There's a lot of focus on 2026, which gets me jacked up. It's not to Last Dance levels. I would never, it's not, that analogy wouldn't work because of the prowess that those Bulls teams had. But there is a lot of people on this team that may not be on this team next year. And Nico Horner was talking about that on Monday in terms of enjoying the moment, trying to stay in the present. Tom Ricketts said all the focus is on 26. And even when he was asked about, the looming labor issues and the possible impact that could have on the 27 season, he said his advice to Cubs fans, just enjoy this year, enjoy the games as we have them. And you're right. He did sound a little different than the last couple of years. He didn't write a letter to season ticket holders last fall, but he really showed up this offseason when it mattered. And Joey, even the Bregman signing, how often, which you mentioned, how often does it happen where a team goes for a player in one offseason, because they went for him 12 and a half months ago. They didn't get him. And then they get a second chance at him, which is so rare, number one. But number two, then they got him. And I believe Ricketts was a big factor in that, don't you?
Yeah, I just don't know as to what changed between this year and last year. Is it
92 wins and a playoff appearance?
Sure. But yeah, I think Bregman also has a lot to do with this win now.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, you bring in a leader like him, a World Series champion. I think bringing in a guy like him only increases that sense of urgency to win now. And last year, I think Nico was probably that type of player that, really wanted to win, and Dansby was that type of player. But now you bring in another World Series champion in Bregman. I just think that only ups the standards, if that is the right grammar.
Yeah. No, it does. It does.
Yeah. And I think Ricketts knows that. And I think Ricketts did exactly what we wanted him to do this offseason. And that is spend money. And I don't know, are they over the luxury tax now, or they're just slightly below the luxury tax?
Yeah, they're still slightly below. You're right.
Okay. But they're probably going to go, if I were to guess, they're probably going to go over in July.
Yep.
Maybe with Mason
hinted at that today. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's exciting. And that gives us something to look forward to March 26th. And it's exciting. It's really exciting to be a Cubs fan. It's exciting. I'm going to look forward to watching the game on Friday. Like it's exciting to see. And it was really cool to see what Tom had to say today.
And speaking of that, Joey, you're going to watch the game on Friday, presumably on Marquee. Sure. I'm not really sure where else it would be available, although they are playing the White Sox, so maybe it'd be on CHSN. But that was my other parts on my outline here about what Ricketts said on Monday. He got a few questions, 3 or 4 of them on Marquee. Mm-hmm. And he said Marquee is one of the best things that the Cubs have ever done. He mainly focused on the game broadcast, the production, which, by the way, I will say it now and I'll repeat it when we unpack this comment more with Sam, because I think it's worth that. Mm-hmm. The production on Marquee is incredible.
Sure.
When you talk about camera shots, graphics, the production style, the overall aesthetic to it, it is amazing. And I think they really have done a nice job with that. Right. But again, why aren't they showing every game?
It's a problem. Right? It's a problem. I really want to know the answer. Crane Kenny would probably be the guy to answer that question.
Yes.
I mean, people like myself, I enjoy watching spring games. I enjoy the bullpen battles. I enjoy watching Ian Happ, or guys, starters that play every day. And I think it's a problem. I don't know. Again, I don't know what the reason is. But, yeah, I think Marquee does a great job. By the way, did you see the news that they're taking away that electronic strike zone on the screen? What do you think of that?
Great call. And I did. I just saw it earlier today. I believe Jeff Agrest of the Chicago Sun-Times broke that story.
Yeah.
I'm for it. I was even starting to wonder if they would just do it anyway. But apparently they're going to do it because of the ABS, right?
Right.
And I like it. It feels like it'll be even more pure now.
Me too.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, Marquee has its problems. I wouldn't say it being the best thing that's happened.
Yeah, that was a reach, I think, right?
That's kind of outlandish to say. But Marquee, I think they should move on from Boog. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but the production's great.
Yeah, there's the play-by-play and commentary. I think, you could talk more about that. But, pre and post, I've enjoyed when I've seen it.
Yeah, cool.
And there's a lot of good aspects to it. But it's jarring when they went from 100%, broadcasting the games in spring training to only 33%. It's hard to get over, but I'm trying to get over it as probably as slowly as I can. So, Joey, we have one more segment.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Good. No, I was going to say, do we know what the split is with Alex Cohen and Boog? Do we know that yet or no?
Yeah, I've thought about looking into that actually, because I could find that out probably pretty quickly. But I decided against it. I would guess it's similar to last year.
Sure. Okay.
But also Boog doesn't really necessarily have. It's interesting. I've heard like Netflix.
He doesn't have Sunday night.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the radio, ESPN radio might.
Okay.
I've heard Netflix is now in on Boog, so I don't know. I don't want to report too much without confirming. All right. Coming up next, we know Boog's going to be around, and so will Alex Cohen. And
great.
Really, most of the all on-air people are still there. It's a lot of the off the air that unfortunately got.
I'd like to see more of Rick Sutcliffe.
Oh yeah. I think when they're on the West Coast, you definitely might do that. All right, coming up next, we get into some news and notes from spring training, including Justin Steele. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Locked On Cubs, the #1 podcast on the Chicago Cubs. We give you everything a Cubs fan could want, all in a 30-minute daily podcast. Speaking of Rick Sutcliffe, Joey, Rick Sutcliffe's friend Charles Barkley was at Cubs camp over the weekend. Did you see that?
I did. It gave me a good laugh.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
Why was he there?
He's friends with Rick Sutcliffe.
Oh, okay.
And he lives in the Phoenix area.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Justin Steele is progressing really well. Steele told the Sun-Times that he's preparing to return in either May or June, pointing out that this spring training is vastly different from the last couple of springs when he started one of the first 2 games of the year, opening day in 2024, and then the second game in Tokyo last year. Steele threw off a mound for the first time in mid-January, and now he's up to 30 pitch bullpen sessions. After Steele builds up enough volume in pens, he'll advance to throwing live BP and then eventually go to a minor league rehab assignment in April or May. Joey, this is all good signs. I would be shocked if he isn't out there by June 1.
Right. I was probably targeting around Memorial Day.
Yeah, that's good.
Honestly, he's not pitching in spring, obviously. I wouldn't think so, right?
Yeah, it'd be a shock. Not a shock, but I don't think that's the plan.
But I don't think it's far-fetched to say that's the biggest storyline in spring, how he's progressing.
Yeah.
I mean, for them to be successful, he's got to be a part of it. He's probably our top pitcher currently, aside from probably Cade. But to see how he's progressing is crucial. I think it's only positive updates I've heard. No setbacks, if I'm correct.
No.
But seeing him throw off a mound, hopefully he'll see some live bullpens in the near future, and before you know it, he'll be back on the mound.
Yeah, it'll be good for him to stay in Arizona when the team goes to Wrigley on March 25th or whenever they leave. And then Steele will be an extended spring, and then he'll probably go to Des Moines and pitch at AAA, and then he'll be back. And that will be when he's healthy. Yeah, he's still number one in my mind. It'd probably be Steele, Horton, Boyd, Cabrera, maybe Cabrera third, just because I'm get persuaded by the upside. But it's exciting, especially if everyone's healthy at one time. That'll be an interesting game of musical chairs that Council and Hottovy and them will have to play. Joey, your thoughts on Matt Shaw in the outfield? We're getting video of him taking fly balls.
I didn't see that today. Was that today?
Yeah.
I like it, and I think he's, like you said earlier, I think it was yesterday, he's going to play 130 games. That's right. He's going to play every day against lefties. And he's going to be tough to keep off the field with his defense. Obviously, we don't know how he's going to play out there and right. But he's going to probably, if I'm correct, he's probably going to play right field against lefties every time, right? I would imagine Sale would be.
Seems like that's where it's trending, yeah.
And who knows? Maybe he'll be, by the end of the year, maybe he'll be starting right fielder if Moises struggles. Obviously, I don't wish that. But, if Moises starts to struggle, you'll see him in right and say a DH. And that, honestly, it's not the worst thing in the world. Moises is a year behind Matt Shaw in his development. So I think we'll see a lot of Matt Shaw in right field in spring. And that's something I look forward to watching, but I can't. So
right. Or only 11. So, you can, but 11 times only.
I have to go on a legally streaming site and have my grandpa drive to the stadium, take video, and send it to me. That's how I can watch games nowadays. So.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Final thing here on a Tuesday program. Joey Glickman with me this episode, and Joey, thanks for helping me out today.
Of course.
The Cubs unveiled their marketing slogan for 2026. It's simply one word. This, which where I come from is known as a fragment. It's not a complete sentence, not a complete thought. I was the king of fragments as leads to my stories when I was a newspaper reporter. But for a marketing slogan, I need to let this one marinate because I'm not so sure right now.
I don't understand it. I don't understand the slogan at all. I'm not sure what that pertains to. Is it this season? I don't know what it means. What does it mean? I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Maybe get have another meeting and get a better slogan. Everybody in. I like that slogan. What year was that? 2017.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Could have done better. Other than that, no other comments.
All right. Thanks for helping me today.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me on. Please give me a follow on Twitter. I'm going to plug myself. I'm going to be consistent. I'll get my Twitter right now. I believe it is Joey Glickman. No underscore. It is Joey Glickman. Give me a follow on Twitter. I'll be consistent all year. But yeah, again, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it, and hope to talk soon.
Thank you for making Locked On Cubs your first listen of the day. For those of you on video, we're about to send you to the 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel, and on audio, make sure your second listen is Locked On MLB. Sam will be back on Wednesday, and then we'll both be back Thursday and Friday. He's Joey Glickman. I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.